Right, it is, was it Friday, August 6th, 2021. It is 4:48 a.m. I'm on my way to the gym right now. Something about when people say, if it's meant to be, God will make it happen. If it's meant to be, God will make. And I didn't know how bad that phrase triggered me. I didn't know how bad that phrase had triggered a negative feeling in me until I started hearing people use it and say that. At first I was like, yeah, if this is what God wants for you. But I heard people saying that about things they really wanted, and then when it didn't go right, they say, well, God didn't want it for me. And I'm like, but you stop that. You got to remember something. God can want a whole bunch for you, but you can do a whole lot of stupid things to stand in your way. God can want a bunch of things for you. God can want exactly what you want for you, and then you get what you thought you wanted, and then you get confused. God don't get here's the catch. God doesn't get confused, and God does not lie. And God does not have to hold back or pull back on something that he said that he would do, which he said he'd give you the desires of your heart. And if you using your common sense, then you know God ain't going to give you the desires of your heart if it's $1 million so you can start a child trafficking ring, or $1 million so that you can show up to the Christmas party and act an ignorant fool and tell everybody what. Come on. I'm saying the desires of your heart. If the desires of your heart is to build a legacy for your family, to start something that is worthwhile, why would God stand in? Why would God? Well, maybe it wasn't big enough. But he also said, don't forsake the days of small beginnings. So God is not foreign to small beginnings. And so that and honestly, it was a situation that had came up where I knew the person had sabotaged themselves. And then the last conversation we had, well, if it's God's will. Yeah, but you need to understand, God can't change his mind. God can't change his mind. But you can. And you can start doing a bunch of things that will affect, not stop, but affect and delay God's promise to you. Sometimes you have to get to a point, once you get done being destructive, right? Where you start saying, hold on, I got a little bit more control and power over this situation than I was giving myself credit for. You know, it's kind of like, it was like, I knew God wanted me to have money because he kept putting me in positions to get it. But the windows of opportunity on those situations kept closing. And every time they kept closing, I kept finding myself with nothing. Yeah, I'd have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I would never have the true abundance of what I'm supposed to have had. And I didn't until I started making corrections to how I treated money. That's why I'm a faithful tither. Faithful. I give $1 off of 10. I give 3,000 off of 30. Because I know if I want him to trust me with big things, then I know that I need him to know that he can trust me with big things. And so I say all this not to necessarily say you shouldn't say that if it's God's will. I'm saying put it in perspective, but I'm also saying be careful what you tell yourself. Be careful what you say. Be careful how you say it. Be careful how you say it. Because somebody else said that to me, a day or two ago, right? And I get it. Your spiritual emotions are in the right place. I get that. But that's a setup for when things go left because you didn't know how to act right. That's a setup for you to be able to say, see, it wasn't God's will. I guess he got something greater for me. I guess he got something greater for me. I'll never forget the story of the guy who was just helping his aunt out, being a good person. She had a big piece of land that wasn't good for anything, but he knew the money would help her out. So he said, listen, I'll buy the land. Here's the money. No problem. He couldn't build on it. The ground was too hard. And then come to find out, a geologist was out there. Identified that there was a rare rock good for making countertops in like custom homes, granite countertops. And he said stuff was worth about 10 cents a ton, 20 cents a ton, something like that. The land he bought had millions of tons of this rock that was very hard to come by. So you have no idea that the thing that you think is worth nothing, you have no idea what it might turn into. None. Be careful what you feed your mind. Be careful of the quotes and the sayings, the mantras. You could be brainwashing yourself into failure. Well, if it's God's will, well, ask yourself, what are you asking for? And is your heart in the right place? Because if your heart's in the right place and you're asking God for the right thing, why would it not be his will? Well, maybe he ain't big enough. Maybe I'm not praying big enough. Maybe you ain't understanding the things. God don't just bless people with mansions. He blesses them with two-bedroom shacks. Some people are highly thankful for that. Other people, it's not enough.